Start recording. All right, we are live, hopefully. So this is meant to be like a very informal, open session. If anyone wants to jump in at any point with any questions, or if you remember things differently, or if we're glossing over points that you remember being especially annoying, feel free to jump in. All these fights are going to be a little different. Our comps are different. What specs are strong are different. We've got the affixes. I don't think we know yet which affix we have this week, do we?
They're random per or they're set per fight, but they are random per week. So we don't know which ones are on which bosses.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, I thought it. Okay, I thought it was every
That's
week
my
the affix
understanding. Is
switched
that they're
for
different
the
per
entire
fight.
raid. Okay.
We don't know which it is.
All right. Well,
That's that very cool.
yeah. So I mean, I'll read through them real quick. So there's this thing called Creation Spark, which is basically like the jailer president thing in Phase 4, where someone's going to get a debuff, and when you dispel it, it creates pools that you've got to catch, and it gives, I think, CDR or something when you've got the buff. The second one is Reconfiguration Emitter. This is basically a Lords of Dread ad, which just spawns and does a bunch of damage to the raid every time it casts. And then it gives everyone a bonus once it's killed based on how long it was alive. So it's like a kiss curse kind of thing on how long you let it live, I guess. Third is Protoform Barrier, which is the boss gets some kind of shield, or I guess all enemies get a shield. And then when we kill the shield, it inflicts that shield damage plus some kind of bonus to the boss. And the last is Chaotic Essence, which my understanding is it's similar to the Sanguine Depth lanterns, except that it involves spawning a bunch of ads. And like the more you kill, the more of a buff you get within the timer. So we have no idea how these are going to play out. That's something we're absolutely going to have to feel out. So keep that in mind as we're going through this. So we'll start with Shriekwing. So Shriekwing, first boss of Castle Nathria, very basic. The main thing is that you're line of sighting the boss a lot. So there's these 4 pillars around the room. And your line of sighting, he does... I don't remember the names of any of his abilities, and I haven't bothered to look them up, so forgive me for that. But
Echoing Shriek.
Echoing Shriek, there you go. I'll find it real quick. So you pull the boss. Skip that mechanic real quick. Okay, so originally on Prague, they used this. Can you guys see my mouse, actually?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so they use this little wall here. So you can see the timer here. In 3 seconds, everyone's going to line of sight. On farm, I'll double check in the replay Schlim just sent me, but I think we just use the pillar, right?
Yep.
So there, they line of sight, and then they come back out.
Pillars.
The other mechanic is Schlim got it early in the fight. He will basically target, I think, like 3 people each time. Yeah, 3 people. They'll get this arrow over their head, and they just need to get out because it's going to spawn a blood. The thing leaps down on you. Schlim altered it, so it's kind of hard to see. But yeah, these things spawn, and it just spawns 3 pools of blood, 1 on each person. You want to make sure you're not landing on each other, ideally. And you just want to get those as far towards the wall and away from the raid so that we conserve space throughout the fight.
Do you have a preferred melee spot, or is it just that sort of front area on the front of the or the back of the boss room?
So
To the right of the boss?
You'll see on the log, but
yeah, so I'm gonna go through the log real
basically
quick.
back to the on the right side. So this is like, if you're looking at the room orientation on the right side here, this is where you guys will drop.
So this time I'll range, got it. Yeah, so this was our positioning for farm. So the range, I'll start on this front right pillar. The boss starts on this, or I guess not on the pillar. The pillar's, I think, like over here, if I remember correctly.
It's right beside the pillar.
Yeah, so we're all just to the front of the pillar. And then we're all line of sighting over here. I think we all gated over that for...
Yep. And then you'll hide for the Shriek behind the pillar and then range reset.
Yeah, and then we go back to that spot. And again, just every time these debuffs go out, they just go towards the wall. You can overlap these things. So like when you're standing in the red pools, they don't do a ton of damage. So you can actually stack them on top of
run
each
through
other
the
if you've got some kind of defensive. Oops.
The big thing here is that the ranged are baiting the echolocation correctly, I think it's called, or sonar or something. The thing that shoots out the little white balls.
Yeah.
As long as we bait that correctly, it makes it so we don't ever have to use the lantern during this phase because there's no chance it gets hit.
Right. So the main thing that's like scary on this boss is he will send out the white balls, which you can't see unless you've got the debuff from this lantern. And so right now he's casting Echoing Screech. That's what starts this. So when he starts casting it, it's like a cast into a channel. As long as he's casting it, you can move through the boss. And so this is normally where we'd all want to get basically behind the boss or out of. He's basically going to spit out a bunch of white balls that we can't see because we don't have the debuff here, which I think we actually get the lantern buff on Prague. So as soon as he gets this, yeah. So as soon as he gets the debuff up here, you can start to see these white balls going out. You just want to avoid those. They're going to bounce around the room, but with our farm strat, like Shlum said, you shouldn't actually need to get this debuff. You just kind of know that he's spitting them forward. And so as long as you're following positioning and baiting him in the right place, it's a non-issue. So that's like the main phase. That just rinses and repeats over and over. So people get the debuff, they go out. You line of sight when he does the shriek. And then you make sure you're not get hit by white balls when he does the screech. Then he does this intermission at some point. So after a while, he'll phase. He'll teleport to the middle of the room and start doing this. And this point, the boss goes immune for the entire of the intermission. And we're just dodging and line of sighting the entire time. So we're going to... have we planned who's taking the lantern buff for this? Shlem?
How?
All right. Pow is once again Lantern Man.
Well, we'll figure it out, but
yeah.
Probably Pow.
So the idea is basically just this debuff, I think, lasts 10 seconds. You just want to make sure it's getting refreshed. Ideally, Pow or whoever's managing the lantern, as long as you're with the group, it should naturally be getting refreshed as he's handling it. But the boss is just going to spam this white shit all over the room, and you just want to be dodging that and line of sighting when he does the shrieks. So he spits out a bunch of the balls, and then he'll kind of move and spit out more. So then he does the shriek, and so everyone's going to line of sight with one of these two pillars. And then he just keeps moving, and it's just this. You can't damage, so it's just play super conservative and dodge shit. If you do get hit by one of these, it horrifies you in place, and then a bat will like land on you and spawn blood. But I think it only spawns the blood if like someone else also gets hit, if I remember correctly. So like worst case, if you see someone get horrified, just don't stand near them. And then no one gets hit by the bat. And then it's just rinse and repeat. You do that a couple times and the boss dies. Any questions on that? It's a pretty straightforward fight, as you'd expect the first fight to be.
It spawns the blood for everyone who is hit by it, but you can dodge your own if you're an orc or have some way to break CC.
Okay, is that what it was? Why is this not loading now?
If you like spam your movement speed.
Yeah.
I like how you showed the Prague video, because if you look at our farm videos, we just like cover the whole floor with this red map.
Our farm,
people
there was
say, like,
rarely a
constantly-
kill where the entire floor wasn't covered in blood, from what I remember. But that's basically the fight. It's quite straightforward. Any last questions? All right, cool.
It's pretty straightforward.
Let's go on to Huntsman. Huntsman was extremely overtuned for the first week, and then it got nerfed. We're getting the nerfed version, thankfully. So this guy, it's always the boss, and then he summons one of his bear pet things. The idea is there's a couple mechanics. He'll have arrows that he shoots out. I think it targets 3 people again. Initially, we had this strat where people went to one of these markers. Shlem, what did we do on farm? Did we just
spread
them?
the arrows up and spread them.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
that's
just
what
group soaked them.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the idea
that
is
same log shows.
so this is one of the mechanics. Someone's going to get a red circle on them. They just want to take that to melee, and the melee, it'll be a group soak. Usually the melee are sufficient to split the damage without it being too scary. Especially
The
when it's
melee
going
is
in.
always sufficient. You only need like 3 people in it.
Yeah, there you go. It tickles. It's really not a big deal if you're getting in. So these are the 3 arrows. So the main thing is you just want to spread and plant, so you don't want any 2 arrows overlapped. For farm, we weren't too particular about where they went. And then the raid, just kind of try to roughly evenly split these. I mean, on farm, these things weren't super punishing, so it usually wasn't a big deal. But you see some of the ranged starting to move to soak in these. This one might have been a little light. You got some melee in there. Again, as long as you're not double overlapping arrows, it's not a big deal. That multi-shot the boss just did initially hurt kind of a lot, but I doubt it will. So there's another one of the red
So you guys
pools.
didn't do strict marker setups or anything, Wikora? You just spread them
For
out.
did
farm,
soak?
no.
For
Not for
farm
farm.
now, and we probably won't, depending on tuning and stuff. But
Hopefully
we'll
not.
just have diamond, circle, and star markers out on the floor, and you.
But they'll probably be like
we-
here,
yeah,
like where you just saw those people
right.
take the arrows,
Yeah.
kind of. Not where they are in this video. Damn, Shlem, you keep getting targeted with this. He loves you.
Dude, this was me and Cian, man.
So Margor dies. He then calls in the next bear. When did we get the ads? Oh, this was the healing ad.
Yep.
I don't remember what all these guys did. So this one spawns a healing ad, so that's why you saw Pow drag the boss away, because it spawns a healing ad that traverses from, I guess, the bear to the boss, and it needs to be healed up before it gets to the boss.
Yeah, so this one might be worth jumping over to that log replay. Morgan's on that same log. We'll actually just position like we did on farm, most likely. It's down. Yeah. So for the second dog, we'll keep the boss in the same spot, and then we'll just drag the bear out to the side and spawn the shades out to the side.
So we should get Barghast now.
It's right there.
Yeah, okay. So this is Barghast. Initially he's tanked on top, and then yeah, Mango's tanking him like way to the side. I don't know if the ghost shows up. Okay, so there's the soul. So that just needs to be healed.
Yep. Yep. The little dogs will show up in a second too. There you go.
These were the ones that need to be CC'd, right? Yeah,
Yep.
that definitely
So
were.
let's just get polyed or trapped.
So let me just show it in the
Hibernate.
video here. So we get these shades. Again, the positioning will be a little different, but they just need to be CC'd. You need to be very careful about not dotting them or touching them with anything, as you'd expect. Because they... Is it the longer they're alive, the more damage they take?
The longer they're CC'd.
The longer they're CC'd, okay. So we basically just want them to be CC'd for long enough that we can just blow them up at a certain point. So at some point there'll be a call, the boss will be moved, and they'll be gripped in, and we just blow them all up. And again, Barghast is getting moved out for the next Rift Soul, I guess. And you get 2 more shades on the other side. What was the positioning for the next 2?
It was on the other side.
It was these 2 corners, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Wait, did these? Oh no, we do CC them for a while. Okay. So that's that guy. Then the last one comes out. So arrows again are handled the same way. Oh, I guess these arrows also spawn the healing ads. So you just need to make sure you're sufficiently far from the bosses when you're getting targeted with the arrows. But we'll still do the same positioning.
After phase 2 start, or after the second dog comes out, melee can't soak the arrows anymore. Or if you do, you have to move away from
Step
boss.
Right, because it cleaves around them, right?
Well, and because it spawns the healing ad. And the healing ad gives the boss a damage buff when it reaches him.
Is the ad from everyone who gets hit by it?
Yes, it's from everyone who gets hit.
Okay.
So
is this the one where we immuned?
Yes,
on
on
Frog we
Frog, yeah.
immuned, yes. But on Farm, what we did was we just set a marker, and if you were soaking, you had to be further away from the boss than that marker.
Yep.
Makes sense. Then the last tag comes out. Fades. The main thing that happens on this phase that's different is people will get marked with these brown circles. Just get all the way to the edge of the room because you'll spawn a puddle of shit. Here we're doing some immune garbage, which we probably won't be doing. But I think the rest of the fight is essentially the same. You kill the ad, and then the fight's basically over. Any questions?
If you immune the arrows when they spawn healing ads, do you still spawn a healing ad?
Yes, you spawn one
Yes.
at 90% HP.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
the difference is
based
just
on-
you just need like the one person in it because they can tank the whole damage since they're immuning, and they like all stack them. But we're doing the immune
Yeah,
strat.
so the immune strat was basically just them like line them up so that you could have 2 immunes soak all 3 lines.
Yeah.
Which is why we had the 3 markers on the wall and the triangle marker where the immune people stood. They nerfed basically everything about that fight to the point that you didn't need to do that.
Yep. Initially, those arrows hit like fucking truck. Okay, cool.
Where are the big pain points, like when the raid's taking damage? Just like the arrows, or
The
that kind of it?
So-
or
Arrows,
nothing?
and then there's random shots in a cone.
Yeah, this
which
like
is why we're
multi-shot
we're
thing
fanned
that's
out.
going out. Yeah, so range kind of
And
want to
then-
be loosely spread around the boss.
The multi-shot got nerfed like 60% over the course of the tier. So
Okay.
There
I'd imagine
is-
it's probably
There
Go ahead,
is
Z.
one more damage phase in the third phase. Whenever you move the boss, he AoEs the entire raid for every step he takes,
Yeah.
and that's a pretty hefty amount of raid damage.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but
CDs
the-
for phase 3 are what really matters.
Yeah,
So,
so the dog builds armor stacks when he's standing still, and then every time you move him, he drops 1 stack and AoEs the raid.
Also, we
Yeah.
had, from what I remember, we had throughput cooldowns assigned to on farm. We had throughput cooldowns assigned to each arrow for healing the ghosts.
Yeah.
Like we had.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna the ghosts that spawn from the dog every once in a while, the big ones, we're probably gonna be fine just because monks can sort of cheese that, and you can single target it. We are gonna be at a little bit of a disadvantage for healing the ghosts in phase 2 because we don't have shaman healing reigns, but I think with multiple divine hymns and salves, we're probably just going to assign one of those to each of those sets, and it should get rid of all the ghosts pretty quickly.
So if I recall, the healing cooldowns were primarily for the heavy dot that the arrows leave on everyone, but I mean, you also just can use them to heal the ads. But for healing, you want to have a plan for what you're going to do for the healing ads because they're pretty quick, and if one reaches the boss, obviously there's a damage amp, and then the last phase is the heaviest raid damage phase. So that one kind of sucks for healers.
Are the healing ads life grippable?
I don't believe
No.
they are.
I don't
but-
think so. No,
No, they just walk.
they're a lot like
Yeah, I
the
think-
Anduin ads that just walk.
And they
Instead
don't
of
all
walking
show
out
up on the boss frame, so you have to
middle of the jump.
individually target them and click them.
Yep.
I
If
think
you-
the big ones show up now.
The big ones do, not the small ones, though.
Yeah, but not the small ones.
Yeah, I mean, as far as DPS is concerned, I think the main pain point was just people breaking CCs early, because that'll wipe us real quick.
Yes.
Also, remember not underestimating if you got the circle that drops the earthquake circle.
Yeah.
It can tick you pretty hard. I don't
Yeah,
know if that's
take-
nerfed, but
That's also one that you
Usually defensive
don't
mode.
wait to get out because it stacks a slow debuff on you. So the longer you wait,
Unless you
the
have, like,
slower you are.
yeah. If you have a blink, it works, but yeah.
I don't think Schlim got. Here,
No,
Schlim gets
Just,
targeted
just
with
don't
it.
wait. Just get out.
Yeah,
Even
do
if you
this.
have a blink back in.
Don't wait on that one. Don't
Yeah, so
play
as
chicken
soon
with
as
it.
they get it, everyone starts moving out.
You have like 4 seconds to deal with it, and 2 seconds in, you're 50% slowed. So, don't wait. Don't try to finish your cast. Just go.
We also sacrifice these on progs, the arrows.
Yeah.
Which we
Yeah.
likely won't do. But
Yeah. Cool. Anything else on this one someone wants to cover? Alrighty, Mr. Olympic Rings, Hungering Destroyer. This fight, so there's basically 3-ish mechanics. So there's these circles, this gluttonous miasma. These basically make it so that person can't be healed directly, but they leech life from any allies that stand in the circle with them. So Schlim, is this weak aura part of
yes.
the pack? Okay, so everyone will have this weak aura that basically spams your health. It's kind of hard to see in this video, but it'll spam like a % of what your health's at, and everyone will range, and I guess melee too. Everyone's going to be assigned to like a corner that they're going to be gravitating around, and it's your job in that corner to help keep your soak people alive. When you do help soak, you'll get a debuff, and so you don't want that debuff to stack too high. I want to say off the top of my head, like, was it 20 stacks? That was like hard stop-ish.
You'll see it as we go.
Yeah.
It was don't go above 10 unless you have to, and 20 is you stop entirely.
Yeah, so here everyone's starting to help these people as they're like 50%. Specifically, they're trying to top them off before this overwhelm thing, because this is going to be big raid damage. Or maybe not overwhelm. One of these mechanics.
Overwhelm was the tank. It's
Desolate? Is that it?
Desolate.
Yeah, okay, Desolate. So you want to make sure before that smash that your partners are healthy, then it swaps. So when you get this circle, you're going to get a marker, and it's likely going to be different from, so Schlim got lucky, but there's a good chance it'll be different from where you're standing, so you just need to quickly make sure.
Triangle.
Yeah, so whoever's got
Both
triangle
so
was
go around.
a little slow getting there. So it's, ideally, the moment you get it, you just go straight to your circle.
The big thing here is if you get one of these circles, do not walk over other people if you cannot like blink to your marker.
Yeah.
Because if you reset someone's stacks by tagging them, so I mean if you go back a little bit, if Bolty were to walk over me or someone else that has high stacks, they can now not help anyone else for 20 seconds or whatever the debuff is.
The soaks are going to be way more important than they were on Prague, because Spirit Shell Disc Priest carried this fight really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, so you just give those people room to get to their spots, and if you're getting a different assignment, be quick about it. The next mechanic is this expunge, where everyone gets a circle on them, and the circle will grow based on your health. The lower health you are, that bigger that circle will be. So this is a good time to use defensives, or any health stone. Yeah, any self heal you have, and it's also important that you're helping top your soak buddies before they run out, because obviously they can't heal themselves while they've got this debuff. You want to make sure you're getting the circles out, because when they blow up, it does damage to you, but it also spawns one of these balls. If anyone hits these balls, they're like the first boss in Sanguine Depths, so it'll do raid-wide damage every time someone hits one of those balls.
It does. It's
Is-
a,
I sure?
It's an
I
AoE
thought it was-
splash.
Yeah,
It's just
a
an
splash.
AoE
Yeah.
splash. It's like 5
okay.
yards.
And it knocks you
probably-
back too, so you can chain.
Yeah, you'll probably see me later on, but you can like alter time this kind of stuff. So the only time that you'll ever like stay next to boss when dropping those balls is if you have a way to pop it yourself without taxing the healers, basically.
Yeah, so like you could spell reflect it. So that was, you'll see Des would basically stay in for all of them because he can just spell reflect his own ball.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you just get out. And
I mean, I would say for the first couple, just try to get them as far out as possible. If you can soak the latter ones as the room starts to fill up, great. But just be mindful of your health and make sure there's no one around you also getting splashed. The next thing, go ahead.
If you have the miasma, never soak your own.
Yes.
Just don't do it.
The very big, most important thing for soaking on this fight is that don't just soak randomly. Pay attention to when raid damage is happening and make sure that they're healthy for that raid damage. because a lot of times you can just stop there's a lot of points in this where you don't actually need to help the person because their debuff is about to expire before the next raid damage comes out. Like,
right. You basically
so-
want to help soak before a desolate or before the expunge.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, I mean, obviously if they're about to die, help, but otherwise they're generally okay. Again, this fight will feel very different without Disc Priest carrying the shit out of everything with Spirit Shell. So the next thing is Volatile Ejections, or just these lasers. So 3 people, yeah, I guess 3 people are going to get targeted. You'll have this blue chevron above your head. The idea is this is going to shoot a big laser beam, and you want to shoot this between the 4 markers. We had a convention that I think we're going to try to stick with, which is you always go left first.
Yes, correct.
So that way you're not, like, for example, if Orin went right while these guys went left, you'd have a huge traffic jam and likely someone would get clipped. So our convention is just you're always going to go clockwise to try to find empty space. If you are a soaker, so Seth in this example, I think it is, he's got the Olympic ring circle, but he's also getting targeted. In that case, just stand, dead center on your marker, and everyone else needs to be wary of that. Sometimes, it helps if you can call out, careful on diamond, something like that, to make sure people aren't getting clipped by that. The idea behind this, or the mechanic itself, is you can soak one of these, but if you get hit by a second, it just kills you, which means you want to avoid this, because even if you don't have a debuff right now, like say you're Schlim, he doesn't have this debuff, but if he got hit by this, that means if he got the mechanic the second time, he's guaranteed to die unless he immunes it. So just don't get hit by that. It's fairly straightforward. The other thing, like general tip, is especially when there's like 2 in one kind of quadrant, one, make sure that the 2 of you are offsetting a little bit so you're not clipping each other. And for everyone else, like, play at max range for that moment, because you'll have a little more leeway than if you're trying to hug the boss. You're more likely to get clipped if you're up the boss's ass.
Yeah, it's a line, not a cone. So if you're further from the boss, it's easier to dodge.
Yep. And then the last thing is consume. So at some point, the boss is going to cast consume. So here we get new rings, we get lasers, and then into consume. The moment these lasers go off, I think we generally asked people to start, the ring people especially, to start moving out. So the boss is going to start sucking everyone in. Everyone's going to go towards the door. There'll be a marker down, and I guess we probably won't have Spirit Link, but there'll be a barrier at least.
We will need to do
We're
this
not gonna have
differently without
anything.
Spirit Link.
Yeah. Or
Spirit Link
pure
is
HDS.
what made this strat work.
Yeah. So the idea is just you
What-
need to
what
run
will
from the
probably-
boss, and you're going to get healed. The people with the rings need to be especially careful, because obviously they still can't be directly healed. And so, at least on farm, we had this like Olympic ring strat to keep
So
them
basically,
healthy.
What we'll likely do is we'll likely just pull the boss away and have each group basically stay on their marker and keep healing if we don't have a shaman.
Well, will the 2 closest be far enough, or will they have to like fan out?
I mean, we'll move as a group back.
Yeah.
Like a marker set.
So
Like Star would be on Diamond, Diamond would be
right.
on
Okay. So
Skull.
these guys will be back here, and these
we
guys
would just
will...
move the 4 corners 1 block over.
Yeah. Okay.
if you go back a little bit, there's actually a really good example of the 3 beams in one segment right before that.
Right before this one?
Happened. Before the suck happened.
It's like at 120 on the fight.
I think it's like coming
think
right
it's
out of
this
this.
laser
you can
set.
see like 3 people get a beam on triangle or on star. So you can
Yeah,
see, like,
right here.
there.
See all 3 of them fit right there.
But see how they backed up, so that way they're not... Like, if all 3 of these tried to squeeze in here, guaranteed whoever's in the middle, Ugmo, at least would die. Because he'd get clipped by one of the 2 people, if not both. I mean, it's a little bit of luck. Usually you're not going to get 3 people in the same quadrant, but just be cognizant of that. you're always going to get a set of new rings the moment that consume ends, so just be ready to quickly go to your spots.
Yeah, you also want to pre-spread before consume ends.
Yeah, so if you see like we're all stacked tight, and then as it's ending, everyone's starting to fan out. Yeah, when we're doing the consume, especially since everyone's getting sucked in, it can be hard. But if you're already high stacks from helping soak, you want to try to make sure you're not accidentally refreshing it by walking into someone.
Yeah, on Prog we used consumes to reset everyone. We can't reset everyone because we don't have Spirit Link, so we can't do that strat, but most of the raid should still be able to reset.
But that's basically it. Then it just rinses and repeats. The room will obviously get more and more filled as the fight goes on. One thing you can do as the room starts to fill, when you're dropping off these expunge balls, try to drop it like right next to an existing one. That way you're wasting like so either up against the wall is fine, or if you can't get to the wall, instead of dropping it right here, drop it like right up against the next one, so you're wasting like the smallest amount of space possible. And if you do have
like the moats in lieu of them.
Yeah, and if you do have a hard defensive, like if you were aware of Spell Reflect, like go ahead and soak a ball like this so that someone else doesn't accidentally run into it. If there's any super close to the boss. Yeah, like whoever looks like Sharp, maybe? I don't know who that was. Yeah, Sharp. Popped the defensive and ran into that. People do their little dance, get to new markers, and it's just rinse and repeat.
This fight is like deceptively brutal on individual responsibility. So one that people actually have to pay attention to, even though it's early. I think we probably had the most random farm wipes on this boss compared to every other one.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fight that's just like, it can feel very messy very quickly as the room starts to get painted and everyone's kind of moving in different directions to get to their spots and whatnot. So just try to be disciplined about, or like conscious of where you're standing at all times.
It's also very easy if one or two people refresh their stacks accidentally, it's really easy to get into a situation where no one can soak on a marker because like two of the people refresh their stacks and one of them is out in another stack with a circle and the last person just finished soaking. So now there's no one left here who can actually soak because of the two people who refreshed.
Yeah.
You just have to be really cognizant of that stuff.
Another thing to remember is like if let's say you get a soak circle and you're normally on the diamond stack, but you get the diamond circle. So you go to diamond, those people help you soak. Remember to go back to your original assignment once the next set goes out. That way we don't end up with really unbalanced groups. And if you are, in a case where let's say you're on star and for whatever reason people have gravitated to the other groups, just make sure to call out if you don't have people to soak off you.
So this is what just happened there is a really good example. So if you go back a second on Diamond, when the new set comes out, 3 people on Diamond got a circle. This is basically the worst case scenario, and this is why you never want to refresh. Because in this scenario, you have the minimum possible people soaking on Diamond, and if you refreshed ever, then that Diamond person is left with no soaker and they're just dead.
Yeah, so I would have been the only one that can help this person. If someone had tapped me when I was at 9 stacks, I wouldn't have been able to heal this person or help heal this person. I think I called for someone to actually come over and help.
Yeah, just remember you can't like health stone or anything while you've got the circle. Just straight DRs work, but
only absorbs and DRs work.
Yeah.
Oh, absorbs still work. Okay.
That was
absorbs work. Yeah, just not
carried this fight.
I can understand why now. Okay.
Just not heals. All right.
Who is making that noise?
It's honestly, I mean, RK, you and Bolty might want to talk about this, but it's honestly worth considering playing Spirit Shell in this fight, even though it's bad.
Yeah, I mean,
I will definitely.
This fight specifically.
Yeah, I'll be definitely checking logs and seeing what people are doing on this.
I could see like vent Spirit Shell with clarity of mind.
Maybe. I don't think it's gonna be the play. The only reason the Spirit Shell was so good is because the Desolates happened every 30 seconds, and you just had 2 Spirit Shells going since they were on a minute CD, and you covered every single one. In order to cover all the desolates,
You would need
you're
3.
gonna have to have 3.
That's too many.
No, because
No,
it was
yeah,
2,
no.
then a gap, then yeah.
Yeah, maybe
the-
you could do 2.
In the interest
oh,
of
that's
time,
what it was.
I would just
Yeah,
say,
sorry. Continue.
Yeah.
We'll
just be
talk about it
prepared
later.
to possibly do it. But
I mean, throughput's not useless, right? Because the more you can heal the soakers, the
Higher
more
you can let
they
them
can
stack.
tolerate stacks. Yeah. So we'll have to figure that out. But that's the fight. Any other questions or points people want to highlight?
From a healing standpoint, do whatever you can to emphasize who has miasma so you don't heal them. Everything that goes on them is completely wasted.
Yeah, that's definitely something you want to make sure is well highlighted on your frame somehow, so you're avoiding those people.
Yeah, so it's great when you're smart. Heal them anyway.
Yeah, you can't stop
Not
that.
you're not so smart heals.
Just don't accidentally cast a Serenity on one of them.
Cool. All right. Moving on to everyone's actually Schlimm's favorite fight in particular. The original Zymox.
Also known as Hold DPS the boss.
Oh,
That was all of Nathria.
Yeah.
This fight was the worst about it, though.
Yeah, this one was
compared,
better.
how was
No,
this
it was
compared to
okay.
KT?
This was way more punishing to push early than KT was.
Oh God.
I
This
would say
was-
in general, this fight was just more annoying than KT.
That is saying something.
So, okay, this fight, it's still Zymox, so the only real similarity is that he's got the same portals that he's got in Sepulcher. So, 2 people get marked. And I guess the traps are also similar. We don't really do baiting in this version the way we do in the Sepulcher version. They'll just kind of, they land where they land, and you just got to make sure not to stand on them.
they still do get
cleared them.
baited. They still do
But-
get baited on ranged, so ranged need to be together. They don't have to be in a certain spot of the room, but they need to be together.
Yeah, because we immune coded them.
Well, for the later ones, yeah, but this first one, I think we just kind of...
Oh, we still
No,
cleared.
we clear all
We
these.
cleared
You can
from
see
the start.
100
Yeah,
clearing
I
right
can
now.
say, yeah.
We can clear, but like we didn't have a designated stack point. Like we were just kind of...
We
The,
all
the
just need to
rule
be-
was
Yeah, they just need to be close enough together that you can get them all in the window of a spell reflect or a turtle.
Sure. You don't want to be in Narnia. Like, you also get these beams that you just need to dodge on the ground. This is the similar tank soak thing, except it doesn't pull us in the way it does on the current thing. So you just need to make sure you're not near the tank when that explodes. So this is different. These ghosts, what is this called? Fleeting Spirits.
Yep.
Let's see when it starts. So this was one of the annoying mechanics, basically. He will cast Fleeting Spirits. You'll see this big green thingy in
Cast a
2
power artifact or
seconds.
something like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's an actual cast. It just happens.
So this thing appears, and then ghosts are going to target and fixate some numbers of the raid. So all these people are fixated. If this ghost hits you, it MCs you. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, you get MC'd and you're basically dead because we have to kill you. So you need to run. They will get faster the longer they're alive. So they start out kind of slow. You need to use these portals to, I mean, in theory, you don't need to use the portals. If you've got soul shape or, crazy movement speed, you don't have to. But as a wheelchair class, I always had to use the portals, as do most people.
You do have to use the portals.
Okay.
I think
I think
mage is the
mages could,
only
but
class
that's
that
it,
could,
yeah.
yeah.
Anyone with soul shape generally could too, though.
Yeah, I know with soul shape I
one
could
thing-
sometimes kite them, but like ideally
Use the
you hit the
portals.
portal.
Yeah.
One thing to mention, if you guys want to jump onto my screen real quick, and Morg, can you go back to where the ghosts spawn?
Yep.
If you guys tune into my screen on Discord quick, we're going to do some John Madden stuff again.
One section.
So
Just move your screen.
the
to
boss
my
is here-
screen.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
You're not going
Oh,
to
no.
be able to tune
Or
in.
can't watch. Or
Oh,
can't
you're
watch.
watching my screen. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Undo.
So
I thought you were looking at your
I'm just
own.
going to make this easy as possible. But if the boss
Shit.
is here, no.
Sorry.
If the boss is here and you are standing right here where this line is, the ghost will always spawn behind you. So it's not behind your character; it's behind in reference to where the boss is. So you can kind of this comes in effect later in the fight, but you basically want to bait so that the ghost is going to spawn away from the portal, which means you have to be on the opposite side of the boss of the portal you want to go to. It's kind of hard to explain, but
I'll highlight it when we
becomes
do this one
very
up here.
important later
Yeah.
on. Right. You guys
So this first
Go
one's
back
relatively straightforward because there's no other mechanics. It's just people get fixated. You run. You take the portal to the other end of the room. We'll have markers down for where these portals get dropped. People are clearing traps. These are the new portal sets. And then here comes the first of the Slim's favorite mechanic, seeds.
Oh, and what you just saw there, so you saw how the portals were dropped and they got immediately cleared when we pushed to health percentage. That is why pushing early is very bad. So on farm, we held DPS a lot because if you do that while the ghosts are spawning, you have no portal for the ghosts. A lot of people get mind controlled.
Yeah, that's one of the many examples why. Okay, so these seeds will spawn. These are in set locations, so we'll have a diagram or something for those. They're just a bomb, basically. So as this timer ticks down to 0, it's going to make a giant blue circle, and anyone in that's going to die. And so the strat is basically the more mobile people in the raid take the seeds to a designated side of the room, and then just get the fuck out using portals. So as these blow up, so these giant circles, they cover a lot of the room. So if you're not running seeds, you need to make sure you're cheating towards the side. There will be ghosts that come out as these things are blowing up, so you need to be mindful of that overlap. And so as people are getting this portal, you need to make sure you're kiting these ghosts, but you want to make sure you're not getting in this portal until after the seeds blow up. So let me just show that timing again. So ghosts go out. These bombs are going off in 2 seconds. Bombs explode now, then you can get in. If you go in early, you're just going to die to the explosion on the other side.
This is also why it's important knowing where your ghost is going to spawn, because if you back up like 15 seconds,
Yep.
all those ranged people were baiting on, it's hard to see from my perspective because I'm running, but all those ranged people are baiting on the opposite side of Diamond, so by the door to the room.
Yeah,
You
so
want to bait the ghosts where the bombs are going to be dropped.
correct. You don't want the ghost to spawn on this side because then you're just going to get fucked.
If you want a heuristic, Zymox is between you and the portal you're going to.
Yes.
Correct. Yep. So we're generally like where this warlock is, that you can barely make out in the pixels. Like that's kind of the ideal spot. That way the ghost gets spawned behind him. So if you've got a ghost, you're going to wait for seeds to explode. You're going to take this portal. There's similar to current Zymox. There's like a 3-second debuff where you can't take the portal again. But for most classes, I think the best bet is to just chill there and then take the portal back. I assume that depends on like your mobility because we're going to move the boss back.
Yeah. So after you take the portal, you can just stand on it and the timing works out.
Yeah. I mean, if you're super mobile, you can probably just hoof it over here, whatever works best.
I know you guys were going through Shlims, but I have my POV from Zymox too if you want.
Is it a farm POV or a first kill POV?
Oh, it's first kill.
Okay.
We didn't change strats on this boss, so we just changed push timing.
It's the same.
Yeah, the timing's changed, but I mean, if it's useful, if you want to link it to me, I can pull it up.
Just because
for these portals, the star always goes to the closest one. It'll be marked with star, but the ranged always gets assigned to the far one.
Yep. So there's going to be one on the
one
far side of the room and one up by the star.
It's always one melee and one ranged. So as a ranged player, you're always going to the same spot when you get it.
and there's a lock gate usually for you. I remember right?
Yeah, that's there for the mages or whoever was seed carrying. Not mages.
Yeah, but we also
But
had one
anyone
for
else.
the portal people.
Anyone else could have them. Yeah.
I don't think we did on Prague because we only had one warlock, but when we had 2 on later kills, we also had one for the people who were moving the portal out.
I think it was just conveniently placed because that's where seeds spawn too. But it doesn't matter. You can use it if it's there.
Kind of seeds. Again, same thing. They're going to drop them off. Schlim altered back, but if you don't have altar, you can just take the portal. And then same things. People are getting ghosts. They're running through. This timing's less egregious, so these ghosts spawn after the seeds have basically already exploded, so it's more generous. You still want to make sure you're not taking this portal immediately, because if you do, like, you basically want to bait the ghost far enough out this way and then take the portal. That way they have to run all the way over. Otherwise, if you take the portal immediately, they're just going to start from here and immediately start sprinting at you, and you're not going to have enough time. Basically same thing for a while. Then we get the first Annihilate. This is the big suck-in. So everyone wants to run kind of at this corner of the wall. This suck-in gets stronger. It's just like Annihilate in Menagerie in Streets. So the longer it goes on, the harder the suck gets. Schlim's POV is not super useful here because he's running seeds. But basically, this red ring starts from the middle and then goes towards the outside. Once it blows up, anyone who's within that circle just gets one shot. Like Schlim. Idiot.
Welcome to why Schlim hated this fight. I'm pretty sure this seed specifically is what made Schlim rage.
It's so bad.
This is a very tough
It was
seed.
such a fun seed to run.
Run it.
Please no.
The Annihilate pull-in, it's just weak enough that if you're in a speed totem or a roar and you're running against it, you will stay at the same thing.
Yeah.
So this was very much everyone get in the totem or the roar and run against the wall.
Yeah,
it was a stop DPS moment. Just do not get sucked in. Do not greed casts. Just everyone faceplant into the wall.
Yeah, you run into the wall and you hold W until the suck is over. You don't try to cast anything. You don't try to do anything else. You just hold W until the suck is done.
And this is all the same. Another set of seeds with an Annihilate. Yeah.
Yep. You get ghosts also during this, but you handle the ghosts as the same. You just run against it for the Annihilate, and then you run into the portal for ghosts.
Yeah, it's just, as with all the others, it's important. So again, this Warlock is a perfect reference. You basically want to be where he is so that you're baiting the ghost in the right direction. So if he got a ghost, it would spawn more or less right here.
The other thing to note before you move your camera at all, stop. This portal does not go on the orange marker. So the third portal, or the third phase 3 portal, if you see in the top left corner, there's going to be a skull marker. That one has to go shorter.
YouTube?
Hello? So normally you would drop these portals on star and orange. In phase 3, you drop them on star and skull. So you see the portal is not all the way up against the wall on the top left corner there.
There it is.
Last part.
Right there.
And this specific one coming up, the second Annihilate, is the hardest part of the fight.
And I believe we also had a gate from like here towards that other end of the wall.
Yes.
Yeah, that was what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I think that was more on farm, wasn't it?
Because we only had one more left
too. Yeah.
This specific Annihilate is the hardest one of the fight. So because the ghosts spawn before the Annihilate, basically this is the one that you do want to take the portal immediately.
Yep.
So you run straight from here, you don't delay, you run straight into the portal, and then you basically will run to the wall, and you'll run against the Annihilate as long as you can. It'll eventually suck you into the portal, and the portal will put you on the wall and save you from the Annihilate without a speed boost. If you get a ghost here, you run straight at Diamond or straight at Star into the portal. You can see it, I think, here because Schlim will be going the same way.
Yeah, so Schlim's not doing it because he's doing seeds, but like is that Z? I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah, so Z's going straight for the portal, and then he's going to chill there, and then he's going to basically run against that far wall for 3 seconds while his portal debuff is expiring, and then he's going to get, like, ideally you're trying to get pulled back into the portal. That's why we're not putting the portal all the way against the wall. So what do you use to draw on the screen, Schlim?
Epic Pen.
Is it
but right before
it's not a Windows thing.
Basically, yeah, right before the Annihilate goes off is when you want to get pulled back into the portal so that you port up against the wall.
So I'm just going to draw this real quick. Let's say this is the Annihilate circle. We've got a teleporter over here. Or I think it was star, right? So I'm going to make it yellow. So this is the star one that you run to. So you're going to run this way, get portaled over to... it's like
the edge of
here-ish, right?
It's inside of it.
It's the edge of the Annihilate.
Something like that. Then you're going to run here. You're going to get portaled to here. Then you're going to run against the wall for as long as you can, and then you'll naturally get sucked back into this. You just want to make sure as you're running, make sure your back is still to this so you don't get sucked, on either end of it. And then obviously that'll port you back here, and that should be enough time for you to survive the Annihilate.
While getting away from the ghosts.
Well, yeah, because you'll still have a ghost that's, initially going this way and then chasing you over here.
And you don't want to run too hard against that Annihilate, because if you take too long to take the return portal, you'll get mind controlled.
Yeah.
I think we need to save this diagram and put it in the channel.
No. Request denied.
Don't worry, I got a screenshot of it.
I think you can see the timing here. So you'll see them, you see they basically take it back almost right away.
Yeah, so here are the ghosts coming, and so you want to make sure you're already taking that portal back.
And then they're in the group for the rest of it.
Yeah, basically where I altered back there is when you would jump back in the portal. I did the same thing, except I used alter instead of using a portal.
Yeah, I think if you go back a little bit and play it slower, it's probably easier to see. You can see the timing. You can see a person who gets it on the corner of the of Schlim's screen.
Yeah. So you would be running into the portal here where I'm carrying the seed.
So you can see they just came out.
Yeah, they came out.
And then they go right back in almost immediately. The debuff's done. They run against for a little bit and then get back in. They're going back through right as the ghosts are reaching them. And then they'll come out on the other side, and they're just already in the group, and they run into the wall. So you can see someone came out late here, and they're going to be really, really close. But if you go in early enough, you can rejoin the group basically.
What is this seed person?
Struggling.
Seeing the seed run the wrong way.
They're struggling.
I think that's Z.
It might be me. I have Tiger Dash. It's fine.
Anyway, we won't dwell on that. So if you make it to this point, the fight's basically over. That's the two hardest overlaps.
The next one is basically the same as the first. It's very easy, and then you can basically just limp to a kill from here. And I think we did.
Oh yeah, even in farm, this was very much like current Zymox, where even if half the raid is dead, you'll get there eventually.
This is not a DPS race by any means. This is you get a mechanic, you do the mechanic correctly. Stop your DPS, whatever. Just do your job, and we'll be fine.
Yeah. The biggest thing for ranged DPS, and I guess melee as well, is just bait your ghosts properly. It will make your life infinitely easier.
Yeah, I think this was a 45-second window where just nothing happened.
Yeah, this is where we lost usually, I think, right?
Yeah.
This is where we listed on Prague.
Oh, this is Prague, yeah.
On farm, we listed in P2 and skipped one of the seed sets.
Who knows what our timings will be like for this version of it, but...
Yeah. Then here again, you faceplant into the wall, and then ghosts will spawn as this is ending.
Dude, fuck doing this fight with affixes, honestly.
Seeds and ghosts. So this is exactly the same as the first one.
Yeah, so this one's super easy because it's just the one or two mechanics. There's no
it's
sucking.
not exactly the same because you do the ghosts and the seeds at the same time instead of doing the seeds first. But it's still
the timing's different, but it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still handle each mechanic individually. You don't have to worry about overlaps.
Yeah. Slim again showing
in
how
general,
easy it was.
If you have a seed job, if you get assigned it, look in assignments. Usually it's mages, druids, demon hunters. They're generally the best because they have the best mobility. If you have a seed job, you need to have a plan for each of the seed sets because they all play a little bit differently. User resources, I think in our guild, me and Schlim and Zot are still here from the original seed runners. I know Darlaze has done it. I think, yeah. So if you're not sure what to do with your seed, just ask around. We'll be able to help you out with that.
Yeah, and this is definitely a mechanic where, like, if you're a seed runner and you've fucked something up, it is better for you to just make sure the seed gets out and you die than coming back through the portal or something with the seed, because then obviously we wipe.
I only have one thing to add, and that's for healers. One thing we haven't noted is there is a very nasty debuff that goes on. It's on 2 players at a time. It goes out one halfway through the duration, you get another one. So it's constantly one's being applied and one's falling off. It's called Withered Touch. It's really nasty. You need to make sure it's highlighted or glowed or whatever, especially if it goes on a seed carrier, because if they are out on their own dropping seeds with that dot, they're going to die. Yeah. So you'll probably need to watch for it, cast a GS on them or a sack. Since I think Milk is in, he's probably going to do it. You're going to be over there. You just need to make sure that you're keeping all of the seed runners aligned, especially if they have Withered Touch.
Yeah, it's great for personals as well. I mean, there's not much else in this fight that's like targeted damage other than that dot. I think Schlim just had it there. Maybe not.
I think every time Schlim got it, he
there
died.
You go.
Which is another reason that he hated that fight.
So he actually just blocked the dot.
Yeah.
That's why it was so quick. Because, yeah, that dot is... So here he gets the dot. It lasts 20 seconds. Like, it lasts a long time, and it fucking hurts. So if you can...
I think it ticks for about a third of your... Yeah, I think it ticked for about a third of your health every tick.
Yeah. It is a nasty, nasty dot. Cool. Onwards. The meme fight. Sun King. This is a very bizarre fight that I'm not even excited about explaining. Basically, there's Kael'thas.
Real quick through this one.
Our bro up here, we win by healing him, basically. The main thing that everyone needs to pay attention to is, obviously, we're killing all these ads. You want to kick the ones on the outside so that they come in. The main thing are these pillars. So you want to make sure that... Oh, wait, out for this boss. What a lie. One person at a time can channel from each of these pillars. You want to make sure you're not booting anyone off early. So let them get the full channel, and then someone else goes. Let's see when people start doing it. Yeah, so here people are starting to channel the boss, and that just heals into him. Most of this phase is basically just the healers topping off and healing through his absorb shield, while everyone else just kind of kills things. We're gonna stack on one side of the room when we get to this phase. In this phase, there's going to be, I guess, the movement is there's a group-wide soak, this thing, Ember Blast, I guess it's called. Then there's a cone. I think it's this Fiery Strike, or maybe it's this Blazing Surge.
Fiery Strike is tank frontal.
Tank frontal.
Okay, yeah, so that's the cone, so you just want to make sure you're not getting clipped by that. And then this Cloak of Flames, so this is, again, it's going to come down to tuning. the idea is we need to burst through that shield within like 10 seconds, 6 seconds. I don't know how long it is off the top of my head.
I have a weak aura. It pops up here.
Yeah, so now he's shielded. 5, 4. So I guess like 6 seconds. It's not long. So any like high burst CDs you have, you want to save them for this until we can at least establish whether it's a joke or not. This fight is not at all a DPS check. This fight's a total meme. We just need to make sure we're killing these shields. Otherwise, we wipe.
Just in terms of that shield and the timing, it looks like, I mean, if it's similar, that we'll have Tyrant up for it if we Tyrant like right in the beginning like we normally do.
You would be, what's the cooldown on your Tyrant typically?
A minute. But when that shield was going out, it looked like it was at a minute 20, so it kind of line up perfectly.
Nobody cares about you, Warlocks.
Also,
PI me.
the first phase, damage really doesn't matter. So if timings come down to be close, don't pop.
Yeah, for sure.
Because a lot of the time we're actually holding DPS on the guy, because as soon as you kill that first guy, the timer for his spawn of his next set of ads begins. So you're actually holding it so that we're making sure we're healing Kael'thas before we kill them.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so this again is the frontal that people are moving out of. It's kind of hard to see, so you just want to make sure you're not getting clipped by that. We're using typhoons and shit to keep these phoenixes away, but most of your damage is just going into the boss. And then I think we phase in before the shield, maybe.
So I don't know if this is gonna still be a bug, but mages, if you Dragon's Breath these phoenixes right as they're about to die,
they don't respawn.
They don't respawn. So
yeah,
something to try and do.
Yeah, so as soon as we get back to the healing phase, people get back on these pillars and start channeling. Healers are going back to tunneling Kael'thas, and we're just handling ads on the other side of the room. And it's just this over and over.
I don't remember if you mentioned this, but or I missed if you mentioned it, but the pillar channel gets interrupted by taking any damage that's not the pillar channel. You have to make sure if you're channeling on it that you wait until after like specific grade damage things. Like this dude does a slam that you have to wait. So there, it does a slam and then you go.
The other thing is to make sure that you guys are stunning and Dragon's Breath or whatever fear on these assassins when they do their, I don't know what cast it is. You'll probably see it in a second. But basically you can stop them from jumping out if you stun them during that.
It's like the last boss in Sanguine, I think.
Yeah.
They also do a heal thing, if I remember right, when they're low health, and that's the big thing. Return to stone.
Return to stone, right there.
I don't think you can interrupt the jump, but you can interrupt the heal with CCs.
I think you could stun the return to stone as well.
Yes, you can. Every CC works on them.
Is it worth it for healers to channel into the pillar?
No.
Okay.
Not even a
it's
little bit.
literally health funnel. So it's
One thing to note as for DPS, during these main phases, you really need to watch your own health. You'll be getting residual healing from the healers, but like the druid's gonna be regrowthing or nurse spamming Kael'thas. The priests are gonna be casting heal on Kael'thas. Like all of our healing is going to Kael'thas. You're just getting residual. So make sure like health pots, whatever, that sort of thing, you save it for these main phases.
And I think, I don't remember the exact detail, but wasn't there something with like certain healers where people needed to be careful not to stand near them so that certain
I think it was
that was
shamans.
convoking.
Was it shamans?
That was shamans with
Ascendants,
ascendants, and that was like Boomkin's convoking. Like
Yeah, no, we don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
We're just because Milk's probably gonna go necro, and we don't have a shaman.
Yeah, I mean,
That was
hopefully
the
with like,
I don't know if we had milk in, but
hopefully with how strong throughput healers have gotten over the expansion, like this fight's kind of a joke now.
yeah,
Oh,
you
are we
guys
only
didn't
4
tell
healing
us
this
that in
boss?
time.
Oh,
We can
I think
change it, but you guys didn't.
I think we
give us
need
any
one more.
numbers.
Yeah, my bad.
Priest, make sure you go Guardian Angel on this so that you get the 60-second Guardian Spirit cooldown.
Yeah, 70-second wounds is pretty good.
And the conduit.
Yes, the conduit's big. So it's my only other holy fight other than Jailer.
Power Shun, do you remember if we overlap the GSs, or is that they don't
One at a time.
multiplicative
When I
stack
did
on,
it was one
right?
at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay.
chained them.
Good remember.
But that's basically it. I mean, it's the ad phase can be a little chaotic, but the main thing is you're getting in the group soak, and then you're dodging the frontal, and you're saving burst CDs for the shield. And then this phase is kind of whatever. You're just cleaving ads, interrupting them as possible, and let the healers do their thing. Any questions? Cool.
So like you ever were doing with the Phoenixes?
They just get slowed and cleaved?
Yeah, you just try to keep them away from the raid and kill them if they get close. Like, they'll respawn infinitely unless we do the dragon breath thing as they die. Hopefully we're pushing the boss fast enough that they don't really become an issue. Alright, Dark Vein. This boss, the idea is she's filling these various tanks. We start with the same positioning, so range are going to be off to the right. Boss starts right where she spawns. She spawns... I'll wait till hopefully Slim gets it at some point to go over that, but there's the connect the dots thing. So this bottled anima, these things just need to be soaked. You need at least one person in each. Later on in the fight, they'll bounce when one of these things is empowered. We immune the ad, so I can't show you this one, but basically you'll get one big ad and two little ads, if I remember right, and you just want to make like a triangular Venn diagram over the boss, and then cleave those down. Bottles. Can you get mechanics, please? Okay, so here are the three circles.
You're never going to see me get this. I ice block it.
All right. Okay, well, yeah. Okay, so you make this little Venn diagram, then you kill those, keep the ads interrupted. So you can kind of see it. We'll see who gets it. So, okay, so these people. So when the idea for anyone who hasn't done it is just you need your, it's kind of like Soleil's Gambit where you need your line to go through your orb. It's not sufficient for you just to be standing kind of haphazardly around your orb. You need the actual line to pass through. As soon as the line is passing through all three of these orbs, the mechanic's cleared and you can go back to DPSing.
There are 4 orbs on Mythic.
Was it 4?
Yeah. So you have
okay,
like,
three people with it, but 4 orbs.
Yeah,
right?
4 orbs, 3 people.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of geometry you have to do to. Oh, Schlim, where's your ice block, sir?
On cooldown from the first one. But remember, these people get rooted, so you need. So after one of the vessels gets to 33%, I can't remember which one. The people get rooted when you get that debuff, so you need to be close to the boss.
I remember Tiger's Lust and Freedom works on him, possibly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can also Night Fae blink and blink.
Forget the orbs. Later on in the fight, when one of these is empowered, there'll be these rotating beams from each of the orbs that put a nasty dot on you. So you can get a nasty dot by either crossing one of these rotating beams, or you can also get a dot by getting... Hello, YouTube? Please stop doing this. Thanks. By crossing the beam of coming from any of the players. So you want to be mindful of that as well. So...
The one from the players is not near as bad as the one from the orbs.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to see, but so usually these orbs form like 2 of them are closer to each other. So like this one and this one. And so usually it's easiest if whoever ends up near the two close orbs, they back up enough by, it's hard to see from this angle, but like this likely might have been a little bit easier depending where that last orb was if they backed up kind of to where this portal is. That way they've got one line going through this orb and one line going through,
So if you
through that orb.
jump into my stream quick, I'm just going to draw it over this, but so the orbs always spawned in a pattern similar to this, if I remember right. Pow, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, something like
Yeah.
that.
Basically, player 1 would go here, 2 would go here, 3 would go here. So you would get a line like this. So you could either do it like that, or you could have player 2 be here, and then go like this. The big thing is just that you let this person be in the middle of these two orbs, and the other two people adjust.
Right. And when you get assigned for this, the quicker you move to kind of claim an orb, the easier you're going to make it. I don't think we had like strict, like fancy weak auras for assignments or anything. It was just, you know, I think melee typically took the closer one and range went for the far ones, but just get out as fast as possible to claim your orb or your two orbs.
Especially when they start rotating, because if you take too long, then people are going to start eating beams.
Yeah. I
If
mean,
you watch
that's
Slim's raid frames as the people with the line debuffs go out, they take a lot of damage. That's by far like the most dangerous for any person.
yeah. You
is
can
to
see
have
them
that
ticking down
debuff.
here.
So using personals and then healers, make sure you're spot healing those people. That's going to be the important part.
Dude, Seth, what a legend for being here. By the way,
I just want to help out.
So I don't know if it's this point in the fight, but at some point when one of the, yeah, okay, so it's this one. So let me go back. So when the last thing is empowered, you're going to see when these first things are caught, they're going to spawn, like they're going to bounce and spawn new puddles. Everyone just needs to yeet themselves out if you've got any kind of quick movement to catch those.
They always bounce towards the middle.
Yeah. And we're generally going to be on one side of the room when this happens. So just, you need to turn your camera and like aggressively look for those when we're getting the bounces. So this should be one more bounce. And bounce. Yeah, and like some of them, as you can see, can be really far. So you just need to be ready to move.
They will tend to bounce towards the middle.
Yep. And then we just kill the boss. So stack the circles on the boss, Venn diagrammed, kick the ads, kill the ads, soak the bottles, and handle the animal orbs. That's basically the fight. Any questions? Cool. Council of Blood. This fight sucks.
Mm-hmm. Actually, for Minerva, when are the big damage pain points? Like when people are just the soaks?
So that's a fight. Yeah, so it's just the orbs. We actually ended up 3 healing that fight, and then eventually 2 healing. There really isn't any healing spikes. The only things that you'll have to watch out for, obviously, those concentrated anima drops. We'll usually try and make sure that we have a DR, probably a AMZ. But if someone does get a dot from the lines that appear around the Sins of the Past orbs, that dot does tick a lot, so that you'll need to triage them a lot, and that happens pretty frequently.
Also, you were supposed to drain out the anima vessels as you go, but you just like kill it fast enough that you don't have to.
No.
That was banned.
Yeah.
Actually, so messing with the containers on Prog and on farm, I guess, but messing with the anima containers actually made her enrage timer shorter.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just something they messed up.
Yep.
Glad to see they just decided to never fix it.
Yep.
Honestly, it's a better fight for them not having fixed it.
Yeah, it's just a like 6-minute hardened rage, I think it was.
Yes. Well, it's like
So you have
so.
to make the containers fill faster if they're going to make it so you could actually drain them without flooding the other ones, right?
So
it spread to the other ones. So if you had
Yeah,
a high container, you could spread it to the other ones.
If they were to change it, that's what they meant to do.
If you spread them perfectly optimally, you extended the enrage by about 8 seconds. If you did it even a little bit suboptimally, you cut 20 seconds off the enrage.
That's actually hilarious. I thought it was just that we had enough DPS so we didn't have to mess with them.
No.
If
I remember right, it was like it's a 620 enrage or something like that. And if you did it perfectly optimal, it went to like 628. And if you did it a little bit wrong, it went to 6 minutes.
Okay. Moving on. Actually, I'm going to pause and restart my recording just to break it up.